There's also a tent, one of the British High Commission tents, focused on MEGS. So please go there, find our partners, and hear more about MEGS. Over to you, James.
Yeah, a hand of applause to our sponsors, please. Yeah, I think those of you who have been here in the previous session, you've noted that there is an issue as far as the clean cooking sector is concerned. I'll highlight a few of those issues as we allow a few more people to settle in. So it was clear from that session that our clean cooking sector has sustainable issues. First of all, the kind of technology that are being used are very inefficient, and the resource itself is getting depleted at a very fast rate. Now, statistics tell us that 90% of the energy that is used for cooking is mainly from biomass. It also is very clear that there's been increased degradation. The population is growing, but there is also there's a lot of deforestation. In other words, we don't have enough area to provide the same resource that we are having for cooking. And that's the reason why government came up with a ban, especially in the northern part, where valuable trees were now being utilized for chaff production. There is some light at the end of the tunnel, as one would say, because there's been a lot of research that has been done, especially in the area of cooking. So we have now more efficient technologies which are on the market. And that's why we are benefiting from the support of the British government to see that we can have these clean cooking technologies disseminated. One of them is the electric pressure cooker. It's a very amazing technology. You'll be amazed to discover that you can prepare a meal with only 300 shillings. 300 shillings worth, the amount of yaka you have to pay to prepare a meal. That is from the studies that were conducted by Creek. You've been invited to our tent where you can find more of that information. But here we are, we want to find out, especially from our panelists, how we can have a conducive environment so that these efficient technologies can be disseminated. So we're here to hear, to learn, and to see how we can have the alternatives that the earlier panel talked about, that whether we like it or not, there's going to be a big challenge with charcoal. And the earlier we start thinking about the alternatives, and the better for us. You'll all agree with me that everything starts with policy, because policy sets the scene. And therefore, on the onset, I would like to hear from Engineer Herbert and Gava, just to let us know, from the policy side of things, you've had the challenge. What is it that, and recently government came up with an energy policy of 2023. Engineer, would you like to tell us that policy framework?
Thank you very much, James, and everyone here. Very happy to be here. Glad to be here. I think if there's any challenge that we have to address in our generation, it is the next climate change, perhaps. It's this issue of cooking, because I'm sure each one of us, before we got here, we ate something. Everyone cooks. Everyone has to cook. So that's very important. So very, very happy to, I'm always delighted when we're talking about these clean cooking issues. In terms of policy, maybe before we go to the energy policy, I wanted to say from the onset, as a ministry and particularly as a Department of Renewable Energy, I think, like our friends, the Christians say, real church is real church is Monday to Saturday. It's not on Sunday. So what we are having here, the reason we are organize engagements like this is to actually develop policy. We just heard from the previous discussions. I liked the one from Kaberomaido. But what we get from this is actually ideas. We build our evidence base to form the policy that we talk about, because policy is not a document. In my view, it is actually the issues that we talk about and face every day. Having said that, I think, yes, you are spot on, James. We have recently launched our energy policy of 2023. Maybe to stay in the context of clean cooking, that policy has an aspiration for us to achieve universal access by 2040. So we want to clean our kitchens, to have better kitchens by 2040. Clean and modern solutions. But beyond that, I want to go back slightly to the previous session before I speak about the elements of the policy. We are doing, because we appreciate as a ministry, I think the message I wanted to share is we appreciate that as we talk about transitioning from what? So we need to appreciate that we have our issue of the soil biomass. We have the issue of, like you rightly indicated, almost 90% of our cooking system being based on solid biomass. So as we discuss this whole transition, I think it's important for us to appreciate where we're coming from and what are we doing in that context. I think, like Leo indicated, we have recently mapped the whole regulatory framework for that charcoal value chain. The purpose of this is to understand where we're coming from so that we design the right strategies for this transition. Okay. The other thing I think is maybe we'll leave it at that, but in the context of transiting, we are looking at a number of interventions. So in terms of implementing the policy, we already have recently launched our biogas strategy. We put in place a national biogas strategy. Number two, again, working with partners like MEX, and thanks to the British government, we are finalizing our e-cooking strategy. Next to, I need to emphasize that we're doing an integrated approach. So appreciating that most of our homes, we actually, if I did a sample here, most of us do the different solutions of fuels in a home. As we transition from tier to tier 1, to tier 3, to tier 4 and tier 5, we appreciate that our kitchens will actually have this integration. So as we look at a higher tier solution like electricity, we also think in between there we'll have the other tier solutions as part of the system. So I leave it at that. But in the context, I think the key message is in terms of policy, we're looking to transit to clean and better solutions.
UND is coming. We're talking about, government can't do it alone. As part of the policy, we want to imagine that there are some incentives that government is likely to provide to the private sector. Are there some specific policy incentives that you think can attract more players? You had in the previous session where they were saying that when it came to briquettes, it was just left to the women. And I think the implication was there was not much financing, at least to provide that alternative. So as we go clean, as we're trying to transition to clean energy forms, modern energy services, are there specific interventions that you can tell us that are attracting private sector so that we're not on this journey alone?
Thank you very much, James, for that follow-up question. Maybe I forgot one point earlier. When you look at our solid biomass business, actually most of it, over 70%, is women-based. The point here is, before we talk about transition, we have to think of opportunities. Because I think if we just told these people to transition without doing the 360, thinking about, because we want to say if this lady was selling charcoal, how do we transition them, interest them to sell an EPC, for instance, or ethanol, for instance. So that is, I think, very important in terms of understanding what is happening in that space. Now back to the incentives. Indeed, yes, there's a number of incentives. One of these, if you look at biogas, maybe I'll start with the fiscal incentives. When you look at a solution like biogas, we have zero tax, for instance, on the tubular technology. Okay. When we look at ethanol, which previously had VAT, as of this financial year, it is zero rated. Okay. When you look at LPG, for instance, because remember I said we're integrated approach. LPG has zero VAT. Okay. So in terms of the fiscal, there's a number of those to support. I think one of the key issues you find with these alternatives is affordability. So this is targeting our demand side. We obviously have a number of investment incentives as a country. We have a policy that attracts investment. So if today you came in as an investor or a partner in this country to set up a manufacturing plant for EPCs, for instance, there's a raft of incentives you receive, including potentially free land in our zones, but also the other tax holiday. So that is a supporting for the investors. As a ministry lead, we've been doing a number of what I would call market development initiatives, again for the purpose of supporting the private sector, enabling the private sector to engage. So issues around awareness creation, issues around technology demonstration so that you increase adoption to all the market, capacity building, and this is, I think, very, very critical. We cannot talk about biogas in a village X when we do not have a well-developed value chain system there. So people who build, for instance, this dome or install some of these solutions. So government is deliberate on some of that support. But last and might be crucial is the financial. We have a number of programs, and maybe my colleague from YouTube will talk about it. But as a government, we have a number of instruments, we call RPF and the other financial incentives, again, for the purpose of supporting adoption, managing affordability, and the other. The last we'll talk about is, as a government, we also have an LPG program, where we are giving out a cylinder and a kit. Again, that is in the vision of supporting our integrated approach to clean cooking. And maybe in the context of this discussion, I remember also we have the e-cooking. E-cooking, very crucial, again, for the purpose of solving the problem of affordability. Okay, so if we have an RBF that has certain asset acquisition, this cost, the operating cost, then becomes very important. And maybe to emphasize in terms of e-cooking, we are doing a number of studies again through this partnership and program with the UK government and the other partners, GIZ. I think we are already discussing with the World Bank and African Development Bank to support us in unpacking how a clean cooking, e-cooking value chain would look like. So that's what I can say about incentives. Yes, please.
Are you giving us comfort, especially those of us around Kampala, where we have enough electricity, that we shouldn't worry about the charcoal ban, or we shouldn't worry about the challenges, that there is a policy framework in place, there are financing arrangements in place, and there is a very good goodwill from our partners?
I think I want to agree with you, yes. The message I'm actually saying is commitment more than ever when you come to Amber House now, and recently, I don't know if you have colleagues from the private sector. Just a week ago, we were at the Finance House meeting our colleagues at Finance and Revenue Authority, discussing clean cooking and the other renewable energy technologies. But we're discussing clean cooking in the context of improving this environment. But yes, the commitment is there that we need to and I think there's a study the audience will be interested in, where it has been shown with concrete evidence, again from the lab, but it has also been tested in the physical environment. Cooking with electricity is actually much more, it has a better advantage in terms of not just efficiency, we're talking about efficiency, but time and cost. So as a market, I think especially the urban market, Kampala, yes, the commitment is there that it's a good solution to consider e-cooking.
Desmond, Herbert said you have the money. Can we be comforted that, because we know that the key cooking technologies don't come cheap, like the charcoal stove they were talking about of 2,000. So can you give us comfort? We understand there is a clean cooking fund, there is a World Bank scale-up project. How are you helping, one, the end user, who may not afford that initial cost, the institutions, the schools, the colleges, they're using a lot of polluting fuels, but the school would want to transition to clean cooking technologies. How about the technology suppliers? How are you helping them? Many of them cannot raise capital. Recently, we did a lot of awareness with the support of NEXT, and as a result, a number of electric pressure cookers on cap and ran out of the units. We asked them why that was so. They said they don't have the capital. So can you give us some highlights, some good news from your side that will be resolved?
Thank you very much, Mr. Barnaby, the moderator. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Desmond Tutu Pio. It's good to add the Pio. If I remain Desmond Tutu, I'll probably pick the other person. Yes, I work for the Uganda Energy Credit Capitalization Company. Mr. Barnaby, on a lighter note, it's good to thank somebody when they can still hear. Some 8 years ago, when they transitioned to the energy sector, gave me the first platform to sit in a session like this. So I'm grateful that I can still sit with you on a round table and discuss issues that affect us as Ugandans and the Wananchi. The Uganda Energy Credit Capitalization Company is a government of Uganda institution that is set up to serve as a credit support institution and promote a private sector-led renewable energy infrastructure development. And we do that through financial, technical, and other support to renewable energy projects. So answering your question, yes, picking up from Engineer Pigaba's submission, and also the earlier discussion, I think a lot has been spoken, that how do we transition to clean cooking and clean cooking technologies when affordability is quite a key issue here. And yes, in the policy documents that engineers mentioned, including the energy policy, including the cooking strategy we're developing, including the biogas strategy, affordability is actually appreciated by government, that we know these technologies don't come cheap. Rather, the upfront cost, the first cost you have to pay to acquire the technology. Not everybody has got the finance, has got the money to buy them. If you talk of an improved biomass cooktop of 60,000 shillings, in my village, where I come from, I'm a villager, a proud one. 60,000, some will look at the opportunity cost. That is food for a month. So surely why would I buy an improved cooktop when I have the 3-stone? It's in the mindset. So yes, as you people see, we have set up a clean cooking fund under the ESP, the Electricity Access Scale-up project. That is a World Bank funded project to government of Uganda. The project is supposed to support the government's agenda in increased electrification for households, commercial enterprises, public institutions, industrial parks, but also looking at both on and off-grid and the element of clean cooking. Now, as UNACC, we appreciate that when we're looking at affordability, we have to look at the demand side and the supply side. We have had implementation over the years supporting the off-grid market that much. We have done a pilot biogas financing facility that has informed us coming with these clean cooking tools, financing tools. And equally, we did a financing gap analysis before the ESP was rolled. Now, when you look at end users, we have a number of financing mechanisms to support end users to acquire different clean cooking technologies. And here we're not only talking of one, we're talking of clean cooking technologies that are powered by LPG, we're talking of ethanol, we're talking of electric pressure cookers, we're talking of powered by solar, and biomass in general. So we are providing credit through financial institutions for end users, for those who want to access credit. However, we have a subsidy in terms of results-based financing, where we are subsidizing the cost of these technologies for the end user. A percentage ranging from the different technology between 30 to 60%, depending on the technology. Meaning, a private sector player is able to distribute or supply or make a sale of a particular technology, I say LPG, at 200,000, and the 50% is covered by UNACC under the RDF scheme. That is one. Then two, there are those who probably can acquire through credit. We work, our business model is to work for partnership, and one of our partners is the financial institutions. This is for sustainability basis. You'll appreciate that financial institutions have got the financing, they have the money. The issue is not that there's no money. They have the financing, but this is not their core business when it comes to appreciating renewable energy technology. Looking at the supply side, yes, under the RDF scheme, we also encourage our suppliers, the private sector, not only to concentrate in Kampala, but also to go to the remote areas. We have a supply incentive as part of the RDF scheme. So this is two-way. There is a consumer subsidy to the end user. There is a supplier incentive to the private sector, the supplier. If you go to an island, if you go to Karamoja as hard-to-reach areas, we give you additional top-up to ensure that the distribution, the last mile person. But also two, another product we're supporting the working capital needs of the private sector, of the energy service companies. For you to have capital, to produce, to import, we are partnering with the financial institutions to be able to give you the working capital facilities. Three, we appreciate that the financial institutions are risk averse, and in that regard, we do partial risk guarantees to the financial institutions to interest them to actually on-lend to the renewable energy companies. Yes, that is what I can submit for now. Not forgetting supporting the associations that bring together the private sector players, including UNREA, including USEA, including UNACC, through technical assistance. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Desmond. If I'm here in this room and I've seen the clean cooking technologies that are being displayed and I don't have the money, when can I walk in a bank with confidence and say, Desmond Tutu announced that I can get a credit and acquire this system?
Thank you for the follow-up question. Now, maybe one thing that I forgot to mention, the ESP, we officially launched this in September, 2 months ago, and the processes we have undertaken so far is publishing expression of interest, that is from the energy service companies to participate in the RBS scheme, and also the financial institutions to participate in the credit scheme. And yes, I would like to thank UNACC, UNREA. I think we have had a lot of engagement with the members. Most of them are here. The response is enormous. Over 80 energy service companies responding when it comes to clean cooking, when it comes to, there's also an element of solar for lighting and solar for productive uses. And we have over 40 financial institutions responding. At the moment, yes, we are doing an evaluation exercise to pre-qualify the successful company that shall be working with. So yes, after the pre-qualification, we shall be branding our facilities with the financial institution. That when you walk the financial institution A, you're able to talk about the UNACC facilities and you get it. However, even just to mention that before we talk on the conclusion, if you walk to Centenary Bank now, we have had already branded facilities. There is Center Solar, there is Center Power, there is biogas, biogas entity at Finance Trust and Expo Circle. That is what we intend to actually brand with the financial institution that we shall be onboarding. So you have all the confidence to mention that the UNACC facility for clean cooking is what I've come.
Will it be there before Christmas or next year?
Well, we are doing our best efforts in the qualification process. We look at January, sir. Thank you.
I now come to Aaron. Aaron, you realize, we also cleaning the environment. And we are quite aware that there is a climate fund financing unit in the Ministry of Finance. And from the e-cooking strategy that Herbert has talked about, that's already going to require resources. Herbert would like to hear some comfort from your side that as he cleans the environment with this strategy, you will help him access resources. Is that a good, is he being too optimistic, or have you shed some more light on that? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Vanel. Aaron Weatherhead, and I heard from climate finance unit meeting about 6 months old. The climate finance unit is about 6 months old and housed in the Ministry of Finance. The main mandate is to mobilize, access, and appropriate climate finance to all actors, including Ministry of Energy. So, Engineer Aligaba, you should be rest assured that we are mobilizing green and climate finance to help the transition and the country transition to clean cooking. We are undertaking a number of initiatives. One of them is to de-risk investments in the clean cooking sector. Why? Because we noticed that one of the impediments of investing in clean cooking is because of the high cost, the higher non-costs which investment is already alluded to. And we know if the investment cost is high, then that means the per unit cost of energy is equal to quantity high. So that cost has to be transferred to the consumers, and then the cooking stock become they become unaffordable. We've had a number of entrepreneurs come in and working. They have very novel, innovative ideas and even equipment. But when you look at the cost of the equipment, it's a very good equipment, but it costs $500. And how many owners can afford that? It can be used as at household level and also at institutional level. So what we are doing is to find ways of de-risking these investments. How? Well, we've created a climate finance facility in the Uganda Government Bank. It's still in its nascent stages. The capitalization is still quite low, but we are working towards stabilizing it. And we are in talks with the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, to access a new window of climate financing called the Resilience Sustainability Facility. We are thinking big of getting about $1 billion. When that money comes, we use part of it for capitalizing that funding to ensure that we have access to this green finance. But as you may also know, right now green finance and the conventional finance, they're not so different, like in terms of rates, green taxonomy. Because the private sector has been, in our case, we've had financiers like commercial banks actually working to us and tell us that we are doing this, we have all these green products, but there is no incentive for us, there is no clear recognition for us who are investing in green and those who are not. So what is in place for us? So we are working on a green taxonomy to give us clarity that clean cooking is a green investment, and as such, when we're coming up with a green loan or a green equity, green guarantee, there is this incentive from government that is going to induce you to charge at a lower interest and spur more green enterprises locally. So we are looking at utilizing the UDB facility. Then we are also looking at issuing a green bond. Green bonds, what differentiates them from the conventional bonds is that the proceeds are invested in green investments. The proceeds you get after issuing, they have to be amount of green investments. And because we noted that just issuing a green bond naked for natural resource management may not trigger subscription. So one for one infrastructure project, and when we talk about infrastructure, energy is a front runner. So if we say we are going to invest in a clean cooking, and then we quantify how much we're going to save in terms of greenhouse gas emissions, how much we're going to save, all those benefits that we have with green cooking, we think we can be able to attract people to subscribe. This has been done with other countries like Egypt, even Tanzania did it recently. We may not issue it locally because of our capital markets and investment climate. Here we think we can issue it in the foreign market where there is high interest in environmental sustainability, because the yield will be a little bit lost in being green. So that is another initiative we are looking at, to be able to raise some green finance that can support clean cooking and a number of other things. Then lastly, we are having engagements with the private sector. We are having roundtables with the financial sector, those in clean cooking, those in tourism, to have more in-depth engagement on what financing mechanisms exist there, how can they package their proposals. Because one of the impediments of investing and getting the money for these projects is because matters there is some money somewhere, market projects are not there. And for people to invest in these, especially the international private sector, they need to see some kind of commercial viability, because this is a new area. There is perceived risk that is not viable. So you need to kind of build a clear business case for it. So we are engaging the private sector and also engaging government partners to help us develop feasibility studies. And we've been in talks with energy actually. We supposed to get some funding for these two feasibilities. We're trying to see which concepts are ready at a certain stage that can be funded for feasibilities, and then we use them we sell them to those private sector who are reaching out to us for support. So for now, that is what is on board, and maybe the project preparatory facility which we are working on with NPA, we are going to establish a project preparatory facility which is going to support agencies in preparing feasibilities and planning project proposals to be able to get the financing and establish the commercial viability through the economic and financial analysis, which can at least investors to come and invest in these projects.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ranega. Thank you so much, Mr. Ranega. Winnie Grace Onjiro, my name is my name. My names. Which one? Both. I will try to integrate and then differentiate it, and I see what I as I was speaking. That's on a light note. From the Bureau of Standards, one thing I would like us to know is that UNBS is a secretariat. Please, this issue of these UNBS standards in the young way does not apply. Unfortunately, I think the awareness has not been done enough to let the public know that they are actually part of this process. There are standards in place, but there are more standards in the pipeline, and I believe more standards will come in place. What happens in the technology world is that innovation goes ahead of standardization most of the time. Of course, when a person sits and thinks of what they want to do, the standardizer is not there. Then when this thing hits the market, then we're like, we now need a standard way of doing it, such that anyone else who wants to do the same is following a certain procedure or is meeting a certain requirement, yeah, to meet what it is. At the Bureau of Standards, like I earlier said, standards are developed through technical committees. I see faces here, including the moderator, who are part of the development of standards at the Bureau. So it is not a Bureau's problem, I mean issue. It is, it's really a Ugandan issue. So it's good for us to take it up. The problem is not now the development of the standards, generally speaking. It is about the enforcement of these standards. I think we should begin with, I do not know how Engineer Rigaba and his team will help this sector to ensure that the people who are in this, the players in here are registered. You see, if we are working in a haphazard way, it is hard to regulate a person who is not under your house. If you're a father or a mother in a home, you are not going to regulate bypassers. I have had an experience of sensitization and awareness experiences where you actually go and talk to, I am from the electrical and the solar background, where you talk to the technicians and take them step by step, yeah? This can be done in this sector in general. That everyone playing in here, everyone who is building a cook stove is following the standard. Whether you're in Arua, that district always comes first. Yeah. Whether you're from USA or you're in Kisoro, you should be able to do things in the same way. And we encourage people being part of the technical committees. Please, let's not shy away. Before I joined the Bureau, there's something that I had when I joined. They were developing a standard for shoes. The person who gave them the most important information was an illiterate. They got somebody, Chireka, who had made shoes for the longest time. He didn't know English. English wasn't his problem. But if you gave him everything he needed, he would give you a shoe and he would appreciate. So we're not going to get such people on board. We understand different languages where we will see. You come on board and give us information. And this information is tested, and then we are able to develop a document that works for everybody. Working, I'll repeat this, we are not a police as an institution. We are our friends. I hope that English was home. We are our friends. We are not, it shouldn't be like the Bureau is there and we are here, no. We are us, yeah. It is us. Because whereas I sit there from 8 to 5, when I come out, I am one of us, yeah. It is the real life. The challenge we are having at the moment is testing capacity. Testing capacity is a very big challenge in the sector, because even after you have the best of the standards, if you are not able to test for conformity, then we are not doing anything. We also have to, the little capacity is within the center, the urban Kampala, with Creek, some at the UNBS. But then we don't need a local person who has been trained in Kotido to have to come to test in Kampala. There should be some private investor out there closer to the maker of these things to be able to help after being trained, of course, to follow the standards as said earlier. And I just want to tell us again, we're not there to police you. The Bureau is there to work with you like the gentleman who said earlier, until some people know, until they die. That's the bit I did not understand. After you die, I don't know how you realize that they died. Until it hits close to home, when you understand that this bites everybody. Quality affects all of us and we work hand in hand. Please, when you come to the Bureau of Standards, you will understand that we are different from the picture that has been painted out there about us.
You are not policemen, but you work with us. And I can see Algawa taking notes when you said you don't have enough testing centers. And I'm sure in this strategy is going to ensure that's addressed. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an opportunity to hear from our colleagues who have been supporting us. The British government has supported many other countries. You've heard our story. Are we doing right? Are there some lessons? Are there some tips you can give us in this journey that we've started as we transition to cleaner cooking?
My name is Louis RENEWABLE, and I work with the British High Commission here in Kampala. And well, yesterday, being the first day, I happened to meet a young lady who works with the Ministry of Energy, an energy officer. And she was very excited to come and talk to us. She told us she just returned about 2 months ago from a master's program in the UK, which is going to help her now support Government of Uganda, Ministry of Energy, in policy development in various sectors, in terms of whether it is clean cooking, whether it is energy policy. And it was quite nice to see somebody who was actually a beneficiary of the high quality training that is offered by the British government. So one of the ways that we're supporting Uganda is through training, education. On an annual basis, we have an average of about 40 to 50 students who go to the United Kingdom to study through different scholarships, one of which is the Chevening and also the Commonwealth Scholarship. So education, training and exposure is very key in supporting policy development, and we have seen interest from various subjects like engineering, economics. We are seeing legal lawyers going to train in the UK for policy development, and this is definitely going to support the government of Uganda. As the UK government, we believe that with the right legal framework in place and an enabling environment, which is the role of the government to play in supporting and providing an environment that will enable investors to operate well in terms of standardization, financing, legal framework. We believe that that opens up the space for investors to come into the market. So that is one of the ways in which we're supporting the government. Aaron talked about who works from the Climate Finance Unit, his Ministry of Finance. It is a unit that was set up with support, direct support from the British government in terms of funding and also training. And this is the unit that is going to support entire other ministries in terms of developing climate funding and also policy development in climate, in setting up various climate finance projects that are going to support government of Uganda. With the Ministry of Energy, we're also supporting policy development, regulation, standardization, providing technical assistance to the teams there, to be able to develop policies, to be able to develop standards, to be able to support private sector initiatives. And MEX, which is sponsoring this particular session, that is Modern Energy Cooking Services, is supported by the UK government in terms of development, research, through the Loughborough University in the United Kingdom. It is doing a lot in terms of research and development, modern energy cooking facilities, to provide alternatives to some of the very, what is called dirty cooking that we've been having. And it's very key. One of the previous, in the previous session, somebody asked, what do we do for the actual people who are now selling charcoal, who are using charcoal to cook? We need to be able to provide for them clean, but also affordable. It must be affordable for them to be able to substitute what they're actually using at the moment. So through the modern energy cooking facilities, where there's been a development of the electric pressure cooker as an example, and also other facilities, we are looking to provide alternatives that will be able to substitute the current modes of cooking that are being used by the people, which is very, very important. Otherwise, then there's no alternative, then there will be no, then you cannot definitely ask somebody to leave what they're currently using. We have also supported 2 private sector companies and the government to come and do research, development and investment in Uganda. And those are Enagro and those are Energy. And those have been provided with grant funding to support distribution at a very low cost of over 2,000 electric pressure cookers across Uganda. And this is also to enable testing, also to make sure that people get to know in terms of what is the development, what are the advantages of using these electric pressure cookers, how do they enable them to save, and how do they enable them to make sure that they are cooking in a clean way. So just to summarize, those are some of the initiatives, but we are working very closely with the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Energy, even with UNACC under the Energy Scale-Up project. The British government is one of the largest donors to the World Bank. The Energy Scale-Up project is the World Bank funding project. So we're not only supporting regulation and environment, but we're also supporting funding directly and indirectly, education for policymakers, innovators, engineers, economists, and also ensuring that we provide enabling environment for private sector and encouraging many private sector companies, both in the UK and also in Uganda, to come and invest in this sector.
Yeah, thank you so much, Renate, for that. Now, I think we need to hear from the audience. You've heard from the panelists, you've heard about the policy, you've heard about the financing, it's available, issues of standard, and we are comforted that the British government is there to support us. They're giving the stuff the support we need. I need someone to take a mic around. Esther, you want to help us? Sabiti. Any other one? Any other one? Yes. We'll have John, you spoke a lot in the first session, so you do the last. And yeah, that will be the third one. For now, let's have those three. Qatar, with the fourth. Can you have the mics? Sabiti there.
Especially the company that is producing the EPCs for cooking. One thing that I've come to notice is that whenever some innovations come up, you'll have an influx of so many products coming on the market, which as a result of that, you'll notice that some might be not meeting the standards. And my sister, who doesn't want to be called a policeman, she's saying that they don't have enough capacity for conformity tests in the country. But I'd like to give you another name. You are our gatekeeper. You control whatever that is coming into the country through the PIVOC initiatives that you have. So perhaps I would like to hear more from you, the plans that you have to make sure that we restrict, as a country, counterfeits that are coming to the country through these initiatives. Thank you so much. My name is Sabiti from the Wanaichi.
Yeah, the next question was. That's it.
Position, that is specified Rule Kingdom. Now, I just wanted to know how we can be cushioned from the fake products. In my district, Nakasongola, we had advocated for at least solar use, which is almost going to over 30% of households. But I can assure you that people have given up. They are giving up because of that. They are not getting what they expected. Actually, the moderator talked about, in terms of advertisements, it is another thing. Practicability, it is a different thing. So, especially to do with batteries and panels, even bulbs, even wires. So the whole thing is, these days when you are advertising something, people look at you, the only way it may be to learn from a neighbor. You want to force somebody to do it first, and I see whether it works. But by the time you have seen the other one work, when you go in the market, you are finding a different thing. So I somehow again got scared when UNBS kind of again tried to push with the responsibility.
Can't be everywhere. Our police here can't be everywhere. The gatekeeper. So I think the message for me on standards, it is, if we're talking about substandards, someone called them pegs. If we're talking about substandards, it is our relatives, our brother or sister who is dealing with this. How do we support improving? How do you become an ambassador and a champion of having quality? Now, I will speak to the question from local government on how this reaches. One of the approaches, and this we are again appreciating as we operationalize our policy and our renewable energy policy. For instance, we have a decentralization strategy. The strategy is to have this discussion reach the last mile is through decentralization. And I'm glad GIZ is here. They've been supporting us. I think the whole of yesterday there was a session with local government. So this is one of the approaches. But the other is really awareness, and these are the initiatives and incentives that then capacitate our 1 inch at the last mile to acquire this. Now with that, allow me to speak to Zion's comments. One was on the cost, how some of these incentives, does the cost translate to the end user? Obviously, on some of the technologies we've seen this translate. The others, it does not. But I think if you look at our e-cooking strategy, I'll use e-cooking as an example, which we are going to promote e-cooking. We are starting and working with our colleagues from finance with a study, a cost benefit. If we remove VAT of 18%, what does this mean in terms of the economics of this solution? So once we have that understanding, we can advance in a better evidence-based approach. The last one on the data for EPCs, yes, again to appreciate UK government and our colleagues from MEX. We are doing a study. We are doing a study to unpack this question on data on EPCs. Remember, we had a study through Makerere University Greek that appreciated that this is actually a cheap, and this study was comparing cooking with electricity, with charcoal, LPG, and I think, but yes, what the key outcome from that study in the lab was that this is the cheapest in terms of time, cost, and energy.
It's now actually the e-cookbook, which is available.
So yes, thanks, Great. I think I interest the audience to look out for the e-cookbook. It's online. You can read more and understand the science of this study, how it was done. But the point I was making is now we have taken this to the field, working with our partners to further understand it from our home kitchen, so that the next time, and this will also help us speak to the other incentive on e-cooking tariff, so that we understand the cooking behavior of the target people and how we design the right incentives for them.
Thank you, Sabiti. I don't need to submit. About the influx, like I said earlier, innovation normally goes ahead of the standards. Many times, products products actually come at a border and there is no standard in place. And the Bureau of Standards does not have a mandate to hold on to anything that it doesn't have a mandatory standard for. Because then what are you going to do about it? That is why I am requesting a certain thing or work being done with the Ministry of Energy to control products in this sector and probably their sources. That will help to monitor this space. But otherwise, if the product has a standard, then the PFOC system is used to minimize the chances of products that do not meet the quality standards coming in. Unfortunately, we have a challenge of the porous borders, and we are not at every border point. So it's unfortunate that, my brother here said, it's our brothers who sneak with these things through the border points and bring them in. But like earlier said, it's our problem as a team, as a country. Everyone should take responsibility, and we shall be glad to work with you. About the trust in the technology, the gentleman from Nakasongola. Nakasongola, at the moment, we have standards in place, and we are working on a code of practice for the installers, particularly for solar. At the moment, the best answer I can give is, when you are promoting this technology, especially the solar which you gave as a case, please reach out to USAID, the Uganda Solar Energy Association. I am sure that this is a group that works with us on quality of their products. So wherever their members are, they will be able to send you to the next person around, such that you just don't go to a market day, find panels next to a nanas here, and you buy. No. You should be able to go to the association, and they'll lead you to the best place, I believe. We have a code of practice for the solar installers, like I said, that is being worked on, such that all the technicians are doing the same thing. It's unfortunate that all electrical people out there, like me, before I went into a solar class, I thought I understood solar because I have an electrical background. But I found that it was a totally different ballgame. Sizing is very important. Somebody could have bought actually good quality products, but the workmanship was very bad, and the system fails. And then everyone says that these systems don't work. They actually work, but the workman may have done a bad job.
I don't think this morning you have enough time to tell us the acronyms, but I think you may have a one-to-one with that gentleman, but just in a minute, you want to wrap up?
Thank you very much. Well, acronyms were not many, but I can have a one-on-one meeting. The UTPC, the Electronic Capitalization Company, ESP, the Electricity Access Scale-Up Project, and RDF, maybe the RDF, that's result-based financing. It's basically like the words say, a financing mechanism based on the results that the supplier is able to demonstrate. That I've made a sale. If you've sold 10 improved biogas system, improved biomass system, show us that the 10 are there, and indeed we subsidize. So out of that, if the price is 100, we are subsidized up to 50%, meaning the end user pays 50 and we pay 50. That's the RD. I don't think there was something else. Now that takes me, I've just mentioned end user, takes me to Okama's question that I did.
But Okama knows end user.
Of course he knows. But well, for his comfort, the end user we're looking at the consumer of the product. That can be a household, can be a commercial enterprise like a restaurant, can be a public institution, a private institution. I think the examples are very good. Very good. Last but not least, he still asked a question based on the lessons we have learned. Finally, from the previous project, what we are bringing on board, if there will be tangible results. Yes, we have the Clean Cooking Fund is tagged to tangible results that you want to achieve. We are looking at 353,000 dissemination of clean cooking technologies, where 53,000 goes to the refugee and refugee hosting districts, and 300,000 the general population. That translates to about 1.6 million Ugandans, with an average size of a household being 4.6 statistically. So in any case, we have learned a lot that we need to address. Previously, we've been efficient, work with the financial institutions, because we don't want to distort the market, but leave the financial institutions to be at the forefront. Now we have a fully fledged market and communication department that is sponsored by some of the sessions there, working the journey with us. We actually have to ensure that we walk this journey with the energy service companies and also the financial institutions when it comes to the people technologies regulation. For renewable environment, I'm talking from the finance perspective. However, we also realize the private sector, the energy service companies, it's not about financing per se, but how ready are you to access the financing? Looking at investment readiness, look at creditworthiness, that you can appeal to a financial institution. You have many donors, we have many development partners here, but we need to actually clean our house. The systems, the books, the records, the resources have to be in order for you to access some of this available funds from different partners.
Aaron also talked about that. Do you have a last wrap-up one? Yeah.
Thank you. I just want to respond to the child regarding whether these incentives translate into lower costs at the point of buying. I think it depends on the product, but for the most part they result into some slight changes in the price, depending on the component which is subsidized. Because sometimes we subsidize the component of the system, then the system has other components which are not subsidized, so the price is negligible. And also we have the project that have some discretion, so some are imported from China or from Dubai. The different suppliers also determine the price at the end of the import. But if the incentive covers the entire product, like Aruna would have a subsidy certification where government was subsidizing and you only need 20,000 for energy connection. When that subsidy expired, the price shot was 700,000 and there was an output from the community. So it depends on how much is being subsidized for that product. Thank you.
Liz, you want to wrap it up?
In 1 minute, as the UK continues to lead in terms of policy, regulation, training, research and innovation in various energy initiatives, we commit that as a representative of the British Commission, we will continue to work with the government of Uganda through the various departments and agencies to continue supporting training, technical assistance, funding, financing, and also investment by both private and government sector in this area. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I would like to thank our panelists. They've done a very good job, and I think they deserve a hand of applause.